It's 33 degrees in Duval County, 20 in Bolton, 17 in Cork. This is TealTalk, the official podcast of the Jacksonville Jaguars in the UK and Ireland. I'm Jay Lawrence. As always, no relation. He's Key Ramsuran. How you doing, mate?
I'm all right, mate. Some relation, mostly spiritual.
Some relation. Do you know what? We've made it to episode 3. Look at us. Look at us. Pat on the back.
Who'd have thought, Jay? Who'd have thought?
I'm looking forward to this one as well, actually, because on the show today, we have voice of the Jags, J.P. Shadrick joins the show. We have an amazing Jacksonville Jaguars related prize to give away. I mean, we've given away, including this week, it will be 3 prizes, and each one I get slightly irritated by, to be honest, get slightly annoyed because the jealousy factor, the envy factor is 10 out of 10, especially on this one. We've got another fan that joins the show to give us the big question, Key. First, though, before we get to all of that, and of course we'll talk training camp, I have to endure the fact that Key actually was in Jacksonville last week, and he's already told me a couple minutes ago, oh no, I did, I went in the sea every day. It's like, why are you telling me that, mate? Why are you telling me that? You know I'm jealous as it is, and you're in the beaches of Florida, going in the water every day. First question, and I'll ask it begrudgingly, how was it?
It was fine.
It was fine.
It was pretty cool. Yeah, I'm not gonna make you jealous, hopefully, but it was cool, man. Like, Florida is ace. We met some wicked players. I'll go into more detail later on all of that, but yeah, the trip overall was really cool, man. Yeah.
I mean, it looked amazing. It's one of those things that, like when you see something online and then you're like, oh, that looks so good that in fact I really don't want to look at it right now because it's making me jealous. I'll tell you what, we'll go into that in a second then, shall we, Key? But we'll talk. Do you want to talk training camp first, because we are sort of like deep into that. Football is back. Football is
back, Jay. I do. It was so exciting. So we were there before pads went on, so it wasn't like big hits. It wasn't like super intense, but we got to see a lot of stuff. We got to see how the defense was running, how the offense is running, special teams, all of that sort of thing. A few takeaways. Offense was struggling while we were there. I think that's starting to turn around now. Defense was on fire, man. We got to sit down with Coach Nielsen as well, which is really cool. Went to his press conference, then we had an interview with him. Hearing from him was super cool and what he's aiming for with the defense. But yeah, dude, they were on fire. Also, I'd love to talk to you about Cam Little as well.
Let's do it. I'll tell you what, we'll go to Cam Little in a second, because any kicker chat, I'm here for kicker chat 24/7, to be honest with you, especially when it's, a rookie kicker as well. With the defense, I mean, it's interesting when it comes to training camp. You often hear, and you never know how much of it's true really, but like the defense always has an edge at first. I actually heard Ryan Nielsen say, he's the new defensive coordinator. He came from the Falcons from last year. And he was talking at his press conference about how he doesn't really worry about that. I mean, it's his job just to worry about the defense. But yeah, all I heard was that everything was looking good. And it's going to be, it's interesting as well, because it is a new style of defense that Coach Nielsen wants to implement as well. So it must have been quite interesting just to see how the guys, got there and how quickly they got used to it.
Yeah, it was really interesting. So day one, for example, something silly like 3 takeaways in the red zone, which you look at and go, yeah, that's amazing for the defense. But then you think, oh, well, maybe the offense is struggling. And let's be honest, the offense were struggling. But it's by the time we left, it was like day 5 of training camp. It doesn't mean that much at that point. If that's happening like week 3 of regular season, then you'd start to worry about it. And also, the defense and the offense are working together. The coordinators are talking to each other. Everyone knows what the plays are. It doesn't mean that much at this stage. And now that they've got pads on in the last couple of days, actually, it's all changed. So
yeah, I've heard quite a lot actually over the last few days as well, because I had heard that the defense were on top over the first few days. But it's the ebbs and flows of it, isn't it, really, Key? Because that might happen at first, but then the offense has had some really good days. Trevor Lawrence, in particular, has had some really good days over the last few days. That's what you want to see from your franchise quarterback as well. granted the fact it's training camp, and we can be honest, it doesn't really matter that much in the big scheme of things.
Jay, that's
nothing matters until week
it.
1.
It doesn't matter. Like, our job as fans is to overreact and to get worried and to comment on it all on socials and whatever. In the building, no one is worried about it. They're like, this is what happens in training camp. And that's what I'm trying to listen to. But there was part of me that was like, oh no. Yeah, but it's going to be fine. It's all
you can
okay.
do is analyze it, though. That's the thing, though, is that it's just it's normal. It's fan behavior. You get what you're given, and then you try and work out how that is going to work out in the regular season. But it doesn't work like that, does it? And we all know it doesn't. But that said, there are probably some people that you're not so worried about at training camp, and there are other people that you might have more of an eye on as well, like Josh Hines-Allen. Since we last recorded the podcast, he was Josh Allen. He's changed his name to Josh Hines-Allen to pay tribute to both sides of his family, which I think is amazing. You're not really so worried about how he does during training camp, particularly, are you? But there are other players you want to see whether or not they take that step up. And they're usually the sort of, I don't want to say fringe players because that's probably doing them a disservice to an extent, but maybe sometimes the backup players. Tank Bigsby's a good example, number 2 running back. You want to see what's going to happen with him this season. Can he make that jump from last season when there was a lot of hope about him backing up Travis Etienne?
So that is exactly the name that I went into this training camp thinking about, because I came away last year having watched Tank thinking, oh, mate, because honestly, during that week that we were there last year, he was on fire. It was powerful. And I came away talking about him and had such high hopes. And he didn't have the season that I thought he was going to have. So especially with like rookies coming in this year, I was thinking there's some competition there. I wonder what happens. I'm not going to get all hyped again, but it was nice to see that element of competition between the running backs this training camp. That's what I'll say. That was nice.
So you were there for the TV show, weren't you, Key? Can you tell us a little bit? Obviously, it's going to start again in a few weeks' time. Can you tell us a little bit about who you spoke to, or is that under wraps? And we'll talk a bit more about that in the next episode.
No, absolutely. Let's talk about it, man. Sometimes when we refer to it as my trip, it feels like I went out there and there were like banners.
Go for a lark. Yeah.
Like the press turned up at the airport to meet me. It wasn't me. It was for our show.
Sorry, I don't know why I laughed so hard at that. I apologise. Yeah, no, that's exactly what they were doing, Key, yeah.
Jay, I'm pretty big in Jacksonville, just so you know, mate. Okay. So yeah, I was out there as part of the crew for Jaguars Weekly UK, right? So we were there for like 4 days. We got some great stuff. We sat down with Josh Hines-Allen, with Trevor Lawrence, with Tyson Campbell, with Coach Nielsen. Roy Robertson Harris is teaching Reese Parkinson, our presenter, to block and to pass rush. Cam Little was teaching him how to kick, and Reese actually made a kick from 25 yards. It was a chip shot, but beautiful. Really lovely. Professional highlight for me was Jeff Ferguson. I'm going to get his title wrong now, but he is something like VP of Health and Performance. Jeff Ferguson, Fergie to his mates, Mr. Ferguson to me, and he's showing us around the training room. So like all the hydro pools, the cryo chamber, like all of the places like where the players get their physio and massage, and it's absolutely stunning. And he was just a beautiful, beautiful man. So that was professional highlight. Personal highlight was probably in the airport on the way back, finally getting over my jet lag.
Oh.
Only to get it when I got back again. Yeah. It was good times though.
I mean, I'm kind of livid, really, that Reese made a chip shot field goal. And I'll tell you why. Because I was lucky enough the other day to go play some flag football at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which was amazing. I really enjoyed it. And of course, that means trying to, get a field goal from about the same sort of distance.
Yeah.
It went 10 yards. But
Jay, did you have an NFL kicker talking you through all the steps?
No.
There you go. I reckon if Cam Little was there talking you through it, mate, it would have sailed through, caught in the crowd.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, by the literal 0 people in the crowd, that were watching. So I mean, it's great as well because it's always interesting. I think when there's a rookie kicker coming in, especially when they're drafted, like Cam Little was, because it doesn't happen uber often, does it?
No.
So it means that the team. It was always inevitable that he was going to be the starting kicker because of that. Let's be frank. Yeah. So it's always interesting when a team has that investment in a kicker, and it sounds like he was a good guy, a good teacher.
He was fantastic. And not only that, the way Coach Farwell, special teams coordinator, talks about him is very exciting. Like, we were there, and I think it was like the first or second day, and Cam hit 5 out of 6 kicks, but he didn't come away talking about the 5. He came away talking about the one that he missed. And Coach Farwell was like, that's what you look for. He wants to go away, watch the film of that, and get better. And that's what we're looking for. What will be really interesting, like, he's a lovely guy. He's full of confidence. Like, everyone, I don't know about the technicality of how someone kicks and whatnot. What I can say is that watching him do it, I've no doubt he can be regularly making 55-plus yard kicks. It looks really, really good. It's going to be interesting to see whether he can do that with 50, 60,000 people and the lights on him in a crowd. I'm sure he can. He seems very confident.
I always feel like,
20-year-old.
In this country, in UK and in Ireland as well, we always have a bit more of a love affair with kickers than, not necessarily maybe they do in the US, but for obvious reasons with, the kicking sports that we have, in Ireland and obviously in football as well, in soccer. I always feel like we care more about the kickers than, not necessarily than do in the US, but I think that it's just inherently there, isn't it?
Yeah, and I would say the same about punters as well, especially if you've ever played in goal.
Yeah. Just whack it.
Yeah, exactly. Whack it. Cam's really into soccer as well, so
nice.
We were listening to him talk about like the technical differences between kicking a soccer ball and a football. All of that was really interesting, man. Yeah.
I look forward to seeing him kick in Wembley Stadium later on this year.
I
bet that's good. Do you know what? Actually, that's pretty amazing, isn't it? Because if he's a massive soccer fan, Wembley Stadium, obviously, such an aura around it, such a huge soccer history. That might be like a real highlight for him. Actually, that's really exciting.
He was giving loads of references as to all the moments that have happened at Wembley that he's loved over the years. And I'm not a soccer fan, so I'm just like politely nodding, going, yeah, Ronaldo,
David who? Michael who?
Yeah.
Wayne who?
Yeah.
Well, exciting, and I'm sure we'll get to speak to him about that as well when he comes over. It's only a couple months' time. Let's be honest. It's not far. It's not far as well. Okay, so we're going to speak to a fan shortly. Let's hear first from J.P. Shadrick, shall we, Key? I heard that you wanted to speak to him on the beach, but you couldn't speak to him on the beach.
It was very stormy out there. Like, when you're watching the training camp footage, right, it doesn't do it justice how hot it is out there. It's so hot and sticky and humid. And like about 3 o'clock every day, you get a tropical storm, right? So thunder, lightning, super heavy rain, and then it clears in about half an hour. Except on the one day when I'd planned to film with JP on the beach, it stormed from about 3 till 9 p.m. So I had this beautiful vision in my head of us sitting on a beach talking about training camp and the upcoming season. And it turns out we're in a hotel lobby, which, it was fine. I love chatting to JP always, and his insights are super valuable. It just doesn't look as pretty as I wanted it to.
Not quite the beach. The beach.
Exactly.
All right, here's Key speaking to the voice of the Jaguars, J.P. Shadrick.
J.P. Shadrick, senior reporter. Welcome to TealTalk, bro.
It's great to be here, man. I'm glad you guys are here. We're getting this done in the States. We're in a hotel lobby in Atlantic Beach.
This doesn't feel like Florida.
Well, it's a lightning storm outside. That's why we're in.
JP.
Yes.
Training camp 2024.
Yep.
Load of rookies added to the roster. Who have you noticed? Who have you got your eye on?
Well, I mean, the first one you're going to have to look at is Brian Thomas Jr. He's the first round pick. And at least the early part of camp, we haven't seen a lot from him yet. I mean, just a few days in. I think that will come, though, with time. And they're confident in his ability and what he can bring to this offense. And then you're looking at guys like Mason Smith on the defensive line. How does he contribute to the rotation on the interior of the defensive line? Because that's a big piece of what went wrong last year at times in the run game. They've got a new defensive scheme, of course. So that's just a couple that pop out right away. And, we'll see from there. There'll be some young corners I think you're going to have to look at later in camp. That either will be depth or special teams help or whatever that is, or kind of on and off the roster some of the year, practice squad guys. But that comes probably after one or two preseason games. You really start to see those guys under the lights and see how they perform.
Eric Armstead, Gabe Davis. So this morning I'm watching Gabe Davis. He's dancing, his energy's up. I'm loving that. What have you seen of those two so far?
Yeah, well, Armstead hasn't been out there a lot, so he'll get out there at some point here soon. It's not a big deal. He just needs a little more time. Yeah, I think Gabe Davis will be fine because he's a veteran player. Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that's a veteran player. He's played a lot of football. Like, he understands what he has to do to get ready. But again, we haven't seen a lot of the offense yet. I mean, they haven't had great days of offense in the 3 days that we've been out there. I think after a day off or so, maybe they'll come back with a different viewpoint on it. And so I'm not concerned about the offense. Armstead, a guy that's going to be a veteran player on the defensive line, been in the league forever. Like, he's going to be ready to go when it's time for the season to get here. Both of those veterans. That's why you bring in all these veterans. Mitch Morse is another guy like that, right? He's been in the league for 12 years, the center, and you just trust those guys to know how to handle their business. You don't have to really coach them up too much. That's the idea, at least, and then maybe that can help some of the young guys with an example of how to do it.
Right. Another big change, Coach Nielsen coming in. What does he bring to the table? What's going to change, do you think?
Well, I mean, their base scheme will change a little bit, it sounds like, to a 4-down lineman with 3 linebackers in the base. But a lot of times you're not going to have 3 linebackers because everybody usually plays a nickel with an extra cornerback.
Right.
So, 70% of the time, that's how it works in the NFL now. But you'll see a little bit of mixture. You might see some 3-down linemen. You might see 4. You might see a linebacker go up to the line. And so there's a lot of that can change. I think the big change will be in the secondary and the way the cornerbacks play. There'll be a lot of press man-to-man coverage. That means they're right up on the line. They're going to be physical, and then you got to be able to run with whoever you're with. But it also gives an opportunity to make plays in the secondary, and they feel like they have the personnel to get that done at cornerback, and that's why they re-signed Tyson Campbell like they did.
3 red zone picks on day 1 of training camp?
Yeah.
That's right, isn't it?
That's right. And they talked about it after the practices. I mean, actually, they did 2 straight days of red zone. There were picks on both days. But they were running like 6 or 7 plays on offense. That's it.
Yeah.
So the defense was kind of doing their own thing, had an idea. So I'm not worried about the red zone stuff, especially that early in camp, because they're working on specific things, and maybe the throws weren't great. That's fine. But it's so early to tell.
Yeah.
I think there's a whole lot to be decided on that. It wasn't a great look. Just those are weird to see, interceptions in the red zone. You don't want to see that. But I think there were some reasons behind it, and I think there's a long camp ahead.
Cool. More big offseason news, 2 big contracts, Josh Hines-Allen, Trevor Lawrence. What does that do for the team?
Well, I think it tells guys that if you do things the right way and you're drafted here and you play well, you'll get rewarded and you can stick around. I think that's kind of the idea of it. From the quarterback perspective, it made sense to do it early. I mean, they could have waited another year, but I don't think they wanted to go into this season with Trevor, having to quote unquote prove it that he's worth that deal. He's the guy, and they've always known he's going to be the quarterback, so you might as well pay it now. The number's only going to go up if you wait. So get that done. And you had to pay Josh Hines-Allen. I mean, the guy put up 17 and a half sacks last year in a contract year, and he's done everything right. He's a great citizen. He's great in the locker room. He's good for young guys, and he's an excellent player. Even if he's not putting up sack numbers, he's impacting plays and getting close. So you had to get those done, and those are cornerstone players for this franchise.
Absolutely right. And even more big news, new stadium coming.
Yeah, we've got a few years
Sure.
Well, the city council approved it. Still waiting on the owners and the NFL to approve that. In October, there's a meeting where it feels like that should go. So, but the city council hurdle was the big one, and they approved it. It's going to be a game changer for downtown, and certainly for the Jaguars, but I think for the city of Jacksonville as a whole, because it gives you a centerpiece to developing that area around the neighborhood just north of there. The Out East community is part of that as well. The Riverfront district, and then maybe in the future parking lots around it. I mean, so it expands from the stadium and goes toward downtown, and a rising tide lifts all ships, and that's the idea with the stadium.
With the new stadium, I heard that will mean a Super Bowl in Jacksonville because all new stadiums get a Super Bowl. Is that true or not?
Usually, that's how it works. I can tell you from the past experience of the Super Bowl here, when was that, 04, 05, there was just not enough infrastructure for the amount of people that come to town. Right. Hotel rooms. They had to bring cruise ships in to the river for people to stay. Like there was a media cruise ship, and so there just wasn't enough there, right? Has there been enough change in that time to host a Super Bowl? Probably not yet. Okay. There has to be some of that neighborhood around, like we talked about, around the stadium, to really make it feasible. I could see maybe way down the line. But in general, if there's a new stadium, a lot of times, if they can handle the infrastructure of the game, they will get awarded one down the line. There's no guarantees on that, though.
Awesome. Loads of big news in the off-season, right? So with all that in mind, what does JP expect for the Jaguars this season?
Well, I mean, it's the team that should compete for the division title and more, and be right there. They were on the doorstep last year and fighting for the number 1 seed with a great record to start the season, and then collapsed with some injuries and a meltdown at the end. And without that, they win one more game, they're in the playoffs again, right? Are they a 14-win team? I don't know if I can tell you that. I think they're a deeper overall roster. I think that has gotten better. The bottom end of the roster, the full 90 right now is better than it was, I think, a year ago.
Yep.
And you'll see that play out, I think, in training camp, and the best will rise to the top, and they'll move forward. So, Texans are tough. We know that. Can they handle the spotlight? The Jaguars weren't able to handle it last year. It's the same idea for Houston. But, hey, there's a lot of money on the table now for a lot of these players that are going to be leading the way, and they feel the pressure. They felt it before they got paid, too. So, but now you have to go really prove it to the city and to themselves and to the organization.
So you're saying Super Bowl, yeah?
Yeah, why not? Or bust. No, there's a chance, right? I mean, they can go win the division. You get in the playoffs, and you never know what happens. But they can be a really good team if the offense is clicking. The defense has to have some changes, which they think they've made. We'll find out here in a little while. But they've got some parts to do it on offense now. I mean, if Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram are healthy, those are the guys that run the thing. And everything else is great, and they're good players too. But with those two guys working in the pass game, with the run game of ETN behind it, if the offensive line is right, okay, that's the offense they feel like they were hoping for 30 points per game last year from.
Right. Dude, that's really exciting, man. I love that. Bro, thank you for joining me on TealTalk, man. That's
what we're doing.
How easy was that?
I was here for like another hour. What are we doing? Come all the way to Atlantic Beach for this podcast.
Yeah.
In 10 minutes?
10 minutes, bro.
That felt like 3 minutes.
You said everything that could need saying. You covered it all. What a professional.
Wow. What a trip. Great to see you.
How lovely to hear from JP. He wasn't quite as excited about Gabe Davis as I was, but Jay, honestly, when I saw Gabe Davis dancing on the field, bringing all of that energy, like that to me, I got so excited. I didn't see him catch anything. I just got excited about the dancing and the energy. Absolutely fantastic.
I mean, you'd be a great analyst, wouldn't you, Key? Let's be honest. You'd be great. You'd be great talking about the players, which ones are going to make the roster. You know how they do like
his
roster
dab
predictions?
Angle was perfect.
Yeah. You know how they do like roster predictions before? It's really just like who's the best dancer. I was going to put on Gabe Davis, as wide receiver 2, but I saw his dancing. He's number one.
Andrew Wingard bringing the 80s retro swag. That was another highlight for me.
So really, it's just about who brings the swag, which players. We should have done a whole feature on this. Which players have the best vibes, according to Key Ramsuran?
Are we talking personality, or are we talking like looks and energy?
Well, I'm not getting into looks now. I mean, that's just cruel.
Dude, so Brian Thomas Jr.'s jewelry game, phenomenal. Darnell Savage, again, the bling, sublime. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I could go on.
So we're saying top 3 vibes: Darnell Savage, Gabe Davis, Brian Thomas Jr.
Yep.
There we go.
Yeah.
Good end of episode. Not really. Let's go into Duval Dispatches this time around, Key. Now, as we know, the Jags will be playing at Wembley Stadium this year, something we're very much looking forward to in just a couple months' time. Currently sold out. There is, however, going to be a limited release at the end of August. Best thing to do, keep the eyes on the Jaguars UK and Ireland social channels. So if you don't follow them already, you can go do it right now. Jaguars UK.
You should be following the Jags on socials.
Exactly. Jaguars UK and IE on X, on Instagram as well. There's limited hospitality available. Just visit jaguars.co.uk. Just go to the Wembley 2024 drop-down menu and click on hospitality. Jaguars.co.uk/Wembley hospitality. It's an easy one to remember. Reese went out to Jacksonville with Key. We've spoken a little bit about it to capture content for the Sky show. It's something that we're very much looking forward to, something that I'm very jealous about. So you can make sure that you watch on Sky Sports NFL from the start of the season for exclusive behind-the-scenes content. I mean, that's about, just a few weeks away. We've been talking about it for ages. It's a few weeks away. Sky Sports NFL TV show, seasonal starting at once. Bish, bash, bosh. Very exciting. Let's do the giveaway, Key. So we asked you to comment on our YouTube channel, on our video, saying, give me that ball. Key, would you like to pick one at random?
Oh, let's have a look. Okay, I am on the Jaguars UK channel. Let's go to our podcast. Okay, comments. But there's a long one. There's a long one here.
There's a long one, is there?
There's read more underneath it, so that's a good sign. Okay, Jenny Cole 5802. Oh, Jay, this is spectacular.
Do it.
There once was a girl from my school. With football, she did me enthrall. A fan of the Jags, she wanted their swag, so made me type, give me that ball.
Jenny, mate.
Jenny
amazing.
Cole 5802. That's the one, isn't it?
Jenny Cole 5802 is the winner of
that level of effort is what we're looking for.
Is the winner of the prize of the signed ball. Signed ball. Was it Ross Matasic he signed?
It was Ross Matasic and Foye Iluakon, I think, from the top of my head.
That's an incredible prize. Jenny, we're going to get in touch with you on YouTube, and we'll make sure that you get that prize. Oh, do you know what? Just talking about it just gets me annoyed again. Like I said earlier, just talking about it gets me annoyed. That is an incredible prize. Speaking of incredible prizes, we've got a brilliant one this time around, haven't we, Key?
We have. So I queued for 16 hours to get this prize. At training camp, all of the rookies were at tables signing this poster, right? Which is like this really cool photo of them. If you go on the Jaguars YouTube channel, the Jaguars US YouTube channel, you'll see a behind the scenes of all the rookies doing this photo shoot. So we have the photo, the like A3 poster of that photo shoot. And we got it signed by all of the rookies, and that's what we're giving away this week, Jay. That
is amazing. It's an amazing prize. So what should we do? What phrase should we do this week, Key? What phrase should people put on the YouTube edition of our podcast to win this prize? What can we, have you got any ideas? What can we do?
I've got zero ideas, Jay, but I'm
goodness.
gonna ad lib, I'm gonna improvise, and I'm gonna say I want to be in the frame. It doesn't make any sense, but I'm thinking poster, frame, put me in the frame.
I like it because I don't like it. I'll be honest. It's not.
I don't like it, Jay. You put me on the spot.
We're sticking with it. We're sticking with it nonetheless. I really like how I was polite there for like literally 1 second and was like, no, I'm not being polite anymore. I'm not being polite.
Dude, we're past that.
So if you would like to win that amazing prize, it's a poster signed by all of the Jags rookie class. Get on over to the YouTube edition of this very podcast on the Jaguars YouTube channel, the Jaguars UK YouTube channel, and type in on the comments,
put me in the frame.
You're embarrassed of it, aren't you? You're embarrassed of it. I like it. It's an amazing prize. Put me in the frame.
I'm going to own it, Jay. Put me in the frame.
Okay, it is time for the big question. So every single edition of TealTalk, we're joined by a fan who gives us the big question. This time around, Sarah McKnight. How are you doing, Sarah? Thank you for joining us. What is the big question today?
Yeah, so my big question for today for you guys is if you could pick one game that's upcoming in our season, that you would like us to win, what game are you picking and why are you picking it?
I really like that question. Now, I just want to caveat that with, if either of you answer with the Super Bowl, I'm gonna get like drop you off of Zoom. We're not answering with the Super Bowl. That's too easy, too obvious.
I need to rethink, Jay. I need to
rethink. Okay. Key, do you have an answer?
I do have an answer. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go first. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to choose this one because I think it's week 4 Texans. And I think you need to set the stall out early that this is our division. That's
a good one. It's at Houston as well. It's in Houston.
Yeah. We are the team this year. This is our division, and we're coming in and we're going to dominate you at yours, and that's it. We are setting it out early. Week 4, that's mine.
Yeah, that's a really good one, actually. Week 4, it's not the easiest beginning of the season for the Jags as well. Miami, Cleveland, Buffalo, Houston. Then it's Indianapolis, so you've got 2 division games there. So you're right. It's setting out the stall. Sarah, you go next. I'm just going to consider mine.
Okay, I'm going to go for week 3 at Bills. Purely because it's Monday Night Football. We typically maybe don't perform or get the opportunity to perform on like big mainstream games. And I think we need to show the kind of rest. I mean, obviously we do really well in London and that's really good for the international fans, but I think for the core like NFL fans like across the world, we need to show what we're made of.
Sarah, I absolutely love that, especially considering what happened on Monday Night Football last season. That was the beginning of us crumbling towards the end of the second half of last season. If early on this season we can go, nah, that was last year and this is us now, absolutely fantastic, man. I love that choice. Really good.
I think what we'll do is we're discounting the London games, particularly the game at Wembley Stadium, because I think it's fair to say that we would all love that win at Wembley Stadium, to be there and to watch it happen and continue the Jags' good run in London. I think we're all sort of on the same mindset here, which is like you just want to... You feel like the Jags have been... I don't know if disrespected is the right word, but maybe it's been acknowledged that it's going to be it's a tough division. I think I spoke about it in the last episode, didn't I? Houston Texans with CJ Stroud, a lot of love for them right now. People, it seems like the Indianapolis Colts as well, mainly because I think it's because Anthony Richardson was very good, but very short space of time. So I think it's quite difficult to expand on that, but people have got a lot of love for him. But you're right. You need to set out and say, like, almost wave at people being like, don't forget about us. And that's why my answer was plainly the preseason. No, it wasn't. Week 1 at Miami Dolphins in Florida. Miami Dolphins, who've had a lot of love, quite rightly as well, on the most part as well. Last season, they were, a really exciting team to watch. There's going to be a lot of people that think that they are, if not Super Bowl contenders, then definitely playoff contenders that can make a good run with some really exciting players. To go out there, to go to Miami and to beat the Dolphins, I think is good. It's doing the same thing as what you're saying, really, Key. It's just sort of to say, don't forget about us. We're here. We are a good team.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Like, all 3 of us have gone for early games, and I think it's so important. Let's hope that if that does happen and they set their stall out really early, that what happened last year doesn't happen again. Maybe one of us should have picked a later game and gone like, do you know what, week nine, fingers crossed.
Well, can I say, I actually, thinking about it, I actually believe we're all wrong. We are, like, all three of us are wrong, because in reality, we should have chosen like week 17, Tennessee Titans, for two reasons. It's the Titans, and also because, in week 17, they don't mean more. In practice, they don't mean more, but they do mean more, the games at the end of the season. Do you know what I mean? Because you don't know where you are.
Jay, they'll be 13-3 by then. It won't matter.
Yeah. That's it. No one cares. No one cares if it's about that. But they do mean more. I mean, even looking back at last season, just, with the Jags, but with, a lot of teams as well, those last 2 to 3 games, they make such a huge difference, don't they? They are the difference between playoffs and not. So in reality, probably should have chosen one of those.
Sarah, what are your expectations for this season?
I really think that everybody is sort of like underestimating us. I'm obviously really hopeful. I'm hopeful every single season. But I think we've got kind of all the right tools all lined up in the toolbox now, and it's just a case of them all coming together. And obviously with kind of the full team kind of back to like health and everybody's kind of good to go, I think will hopefully be a great season for us. And I look forward to playing the Chiefs in the AFC playoffs.
I've got to say, if you're not watching on YouTube right now, you've got an excellent jersey on as well. So you got that last season, did you?
Yeah, last season. So I was talking with our group of friends who watch American football together, and I went, "Oh, do I want a Calvin Ridley jersey? Do I want an Evan Ingram jersey?" And they were saying, "Oh no, go for Ridley, go for Ridley." And I went, "No," because I had Ingram on fantasy, so I was like, "Okay, I'm going to keep Ingram," and I made the correct choice. So
you knew in your heart, you knew.
I knew in my soul.
So that's it's such an amazing feeling as well when you know you've made the right decision, and then you don't have to think, do I just squish that at the bottom of the drawer?
Like every other jersey I've gotten has been a player that has left the season after.
No.
So because I got Trevor's jersey a couple of years ago, and I was like, "Okay, this will be fine." And now it's definitely cemented that I don't have to worry about getting another quarterback jersey. And then this is the first one I've been like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I made the right choice." Yep.
So your main reaction to Trevor's new contract was, "Great, I don't have to buy a new jersey."
It's no more jerseys. Woo! I can buy the Color Rush jersey and not have to worry about it.
I love that.
How did you become a Jags fan, Sarah?
So I worked for 2 summers in Walt Disney World, Florida, and loads of my colleagues and stuff were all from Jacksonville. So my now husband and his friends are all American football fans, and they said, "Okay, you need to pick a team. And I went, "Okay, well, I want somewhere that kind of represents a part of me or something about me." And I went, "Okay, well, I don't really want the Dolphins." And I didn't want the Bucks. So kind of almost settled on the Jags, but I mean, it's probably the best decision I could have made because I love an underdog. So, yeah.
Yeah. And also, obviously, the fact that, there's always, I don't know if you managed to get to any of the games in the UK, but, there's always the opportunity to go and see them every single year. It makes such a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, first London game I went to was Eagles versus Jags, which was a great experience. And obviously we were like, "Oh, okay, let's see how we get on." And the Eagles had just won the Super Bowl, so we were like, "Oh, okay, let's see kind of where the benchmark is."
Those Eagles fans are something else, aren't they?
They are crazy. Philly, Philly pride, but Jesus, they're crazy. Yeah. And that was great. And then last year I got to see the Jags and the Bills, which was awesome.
Yeah.
It was a great game because obviously half of New York State were there, and I was surrounded by them. But we always play well against the Bills. Everyone kind of, I think, underestimates us with the Bills. But we just seem to kind of have them on lockdown, and the fact that we picked up half their team seems to be good for it.
I didn't even think about that. It's true. Yeah, of course.
I'm really sorry.
It's all right. We're going to keep this in. 1 second. All right, let us know when you've coughed your guts out.
I don't know what just happened. My daughter has a pink feather boa. and I think I got a feather in my.
That was like me on Saturday at my wedding, a bit of confetti, like.
Oh,
you got married on Saturday.
We definitely have to keep this in now. We definitely have to keep it in. Oh, please tell me you had a Jags themed wedding.
Do you know, we actually went for like a Formula One themed wedding.
Oh, wow.
Only because my husband's teams are so different and the colours don't match. So we went, we can't do this. Like,
it would have looked gaudy.
Yeah, it would have, I mean, the teal and the orange would have been a bit, so. Yeah.
Never did I ever think that Key coughing his guts out would lead us to a lovely wedding chat, but here we are. Here we are. Congratulations. I actually got married a couple months ago as well.
Oh,
look at us. Oh my goodness, we should celebrate us. If I had any NFL memorabilia, I think in the wedding, I think that there probably would have been some sort of annulment about a week later. To be fair, no, I'm just joking. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us. I want to give a shout out to your TikTok as well, because you've been, your sort of angle online is it's for the Swifties.
Yeah, pretty much. As like a kind of fully all-round sports fan, I think especially women find it really difficult to sort of get into sports or find a lead into sports without kind of being made fun of, or kind of have that mantra of like, oh, you only like the sport because of whatever reason. And I, as a Swiftie for pretty much since forever, and obviously the mad creation of the Taylor and Travis Kelce, I thought a lot of people were coming up to me and being like, okay, how did you get into it? How does it even work? Like, what are the rules? And I really wanted to try and find a way for them to understand it a bit better. And that's kind of the whole angle of what I'm trying to do. And it seems to be really well receptive at the moment. So, and long may it continue. I've not posted in a while, obviously, because I got married. So that was
that's a good excuse, to be fair. That's a good excuse.
I love
what's your handle so people can follow you?
So it's just Sarah Talk Sport. It's on TikTok at the moment. Hopefully it'll branch at some point. But yeah, you can follow me on TikTok there.
Amazing. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us, for giving us the big question, and maybe we'll speak to you and see you at some point in the season as well.
Yes, hopefully, yes. Looking forward to it.
Good question as well, that actually, Key. Good question,
really good.
And something that I hadn't really thought about, because obviously the divisional matchups you always think are more important for rivalry purposes as well as anything else. But you have to sort of think about loads of different things. And I bet you were tempted to say, first game of the preseason.
I was, only because it's Kansas City Chiefs, and I think we need to make a point against them.
Need to make a point against a Patrick Mahomes-less Kansas City Chiefs.
I'm just saying, it all counts.
It all counts. Okay, that's about it for the episode today. Key, we're going to be back. This is exciting, actually. We're going to be back the first Tuesday of September, which is the first Tuesday before the first game of the season, right? The last Tuesday before the end of the season, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make sure, though, if you're not subscribing to TealTalk already, go and do that, because we might be dropping like extra episodes beforehand, and if not, it gets you in good stead, because we are going to be, when the season starts, weekly. Very exciting, Key.
Every single week, Jay, and do you know what? In between these monthly podcasts, in the words of Nelly and Kelly, all I think about is you. So moving it to weekly, cannot wait, man. Cannot wait.
That's so sweet. Makes me feel slightly sick inside, but sweet nonetheless. Okay, we'll see you just before the season starts. And remember, if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, you can also watch it on YouTube as well. This is a Shooting Shark production for Jaguars UK and Ireland, and we'll see you next time.